Alright, now I could not complete this Photoshop course without including a video on Vanishing Point. It's one of the coolest additions that Adobe has made to Photoshop, and it came out in Photoshop CS2. So if you have Photoshop CS2 or Photoshop CS3, you will find Vanishing Point underneath the filter menu right here. Now Vanishing Point, what it is it allows us to preserve correct perspective and edits of images. Images that contain perspective planes, such as buildings or rectangular objects. And so to explain how Vanishing Point works is a lot easier if I show you instead of just explaining it to you. So let's go ahead and I'll do just a really quick basic example here so you can really understand on what it does. So I'm going to go ahead and move this image out of the way, and what you'll want to do is load up the project image, which is inside the project files folder, and you'll find it right here. It's a stock image of an alleyway here, and I'll go ahead and open this up. Alright, so let me go ahead and just give you a basic example on how Vanishing Point works. I've loaded up this image that we're going to be using for our project. I'll come up here to Filter and go into Vanishing Point. Now remember, Vanishing Point allows us to patch and edit images going along a perspective plane. So we must tell Vanishing Point where that perspective plane is. And to do that, over here on the toolbar, which should be already selected, is the Create Plane tool. And what we're going to do is create this perspective grid right on this side of the building here. You don't have to be too perfect at first. I'm just doing this really sloppy right here so I can just zoom out. But what we're going to want to do is look at the building here really closely and set this grid to the same perspective as the building. A really easy way to do this, if you look on the building, you can see the very tops of the windows. Well, what I can do is make sure that this grid here is riding and going along in the same angle as the tops of those windows. Just like bringing this all the way down to the very bottom or riding along the edge of the sidewalk here. It's the same thing. You'll want to do the same for the top, the bottom, and also the sides. So you can see if I zoom in down here, and I'll select the Edit Plane tool, I'll adjust this grid here. So this side of the grid here, down on the end, is going in the same direction as the wall here. This is almost like a little bit crooked photo. It's almost at an angle, but I'll just ride this right along the wall the best I can. Almost look at this gutter, or this looks like a pipe coming out of the ground here. I can keep an eye on that and really match this up just to that pipe there, and that will help me in determining the right angle. And I can hold down the space bar on the keyboard and navigate around. Now you can see it's just a little bit off, so what I'll need to do is adjust the top right or the top left of the grid here. So I'll need to zoom out of the image, and I'll just come through here and readjust this. And now I will go ahead and adjust this side of the grid, and I'll use the window here just so I make sure it's going directly up and down right along the same plane. Look at that. Okay, so we've told Vanishing Point where the perspective plane is on this image, because Vanishing Point can't see the photo. So you have to really tell Vanishing Point where it is. But now that we have this, we can do a whole bunch of things inside this grid area. I'm going to select the Marquee tool. Let me go ahead and just give you a really basic example on how Vanishing Point works. What I'm going to do is draw a selection around this window here, and we're going to copy this window and place another window right next to it. I'm going to go ahead up here and just draw a selection around it like this, and as soon as I have a selection around it, what I'll do is hold down the Alt key on the keyboard, and I'll see those little two arrows, and that means that I'm just about ready to duplicate what's inside this selection here. But I can also hold down the Shift key, which will allow it to snap to the perspective grid. So I'll hold down Shift, and then I'll click, and I will make a copy. I'm actually dragging out a copy of that window. But if you look closely, the window is resizing itself based on where that perspective plane is. You see that? So I can just go ahead and make a copy and position that right next to it. Click outside of the selection, and you would have never guessed I made another window there. It's just there. So that's the cool thing about Vanishing Point. Now there's a lot of other tools that are in Vanishing Point, and I'm going to show you how all these work during this tutorial. So let's go ahead and get started.